You're watching the Western Athletic Conference on ESPN. Bad weather on a Wednesday night in Abilene, Texas. Let's come on inside the Teague Special Event Center and stay warm with a matchup between Chicago State and Abilene Christian. So we take a look at the WAC standings coming in here tonight. You see Seattle U at the top at 8-0. Boy, they're having a great year. New Mexico State behind them at 6-1. There's ACU in the middle, 5-5. Chicago State searching for some answers down there at 2-6 on the season. As we say, welcome courtside, everybody. Zach Carlisle along with Cohen Carpenter, Joseph Chapa coming up in just a moment. Well, weather's moved this game around here tonight. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. But how about this game here tonight? An important game, Chicago State and ACU.
ACU has won their past three by rather close margins, closer than they would certainly like to have it. And then you look at Chicago, and they've lost actually their past two, so they're just looking at anything they can get.
Well, let's take a look at our impact players tonight. We got a couple of high-flying guards, and I can't wait to watch Brandon Metson. He's a great three-point shooter, and Mekhi Morris playing well for Abilene Christian.
Morris and Metson, both shooters from different areas of the court. Morris loves to rely on that long two, whereas Metson has shot the most threes on the team, and he's made the most threes on the team as you look at that stellar three-point percentage right there.
Well, the weather has completely messed up the start time between ACU and Chicago State. We don't talk about it in basketball a lot. Let's talk about the weather and send it over to Joseph Chapa.
Well, hey guys, to quote the great Bill Murray, it's Groundhog Day. On this first true day of winter here in Abilene, it is snowing and freezing raining here at the Teague Center, and we're expecting 8 to 10 inches of snow, and that's why the stands are empty, because it's hard for students and fans to walk here to the Teague Center and watch these two teams play. But nonetheless, in this cold, freezing winter here in our broadcast, we can watch Chicago State and ACU battle out here in this cold winter day. Guys, back to you.
Joseph, thank you very much. Yeah, we're playing the game tonight. I'm glad we're able to have everybody here safely, and when the game's over, we hope everybody makes it home as well. Here at the Teague Special Event Center, Chicago State and Abilene Christian. The Cougars, 2 straight losses, ACU 3 straight wins. That's our matchup tonight. Chicago State in the black, ACU in the gray. Glad you're with us. Off we go from Abilene, Texas. And a steal starts the afternoon, early evening, I should say. Miller's up ahead from Arion Simmons as we take a peek at the starters. Alexander for Chicago and Chukukelu both just making their 8th start of the season. Then you got ACU, who's got Tobias Cameron making just his 4th start of the year, but it's been the 4th straight lineup for the Wildcats. That is the quickest timeout I think I've ever seen. Chicago State calls it 15 seconds in.
Abilene Christian, Brett Tanner was talking about this, especially on their long losing streak. Now they're on a 3-game winning streak, but Brett Tanner emphasized going back and playing patented ACU football. As we take a look at that replay, that steal, that is patent ACU football. Defense leading to points. Reggie Miller with the easy layup there.
All right. Let's go back to action. A 2-0 start for Abilene Christian. You highlighted it in the open, Cohen. Boy, it's been 3 wins, and they've been some close ones. And a foul here at this end. It's on Arion Simmons as he was going for his 2nd straight steal.
Yep, those wins definitely a lot closer than they would like it to be. They've obviously, talking about the Wildcats, had good defense, getting a lot of steals and forcing a lot of turnovers. But opponent shooting percentage is off the charts. Lamar shooting 45 in that close game the other night.
Coming off of wins against UTRGV, 87-85, and Lamar 85-82. Going to work inside, Corbett. He's got the charge taken by Cameron. Offensive foul on Chicago State. There might not be anybody better in the WAC at taking charges than Abilene Christian.
And that's why you've got Tobias Cameron in the lineup. Just a quick switch that we saw a few weeks ago, putting Tobias Cameron in over Cameron Steele. A lot more flexibility there on offense and defense. We saw it there, taking the charge, got his feet set. Just a great defensive possession there, forcing another turnover for the Wildcats.
Turnovers to start the evening for the Cougars. You know, they came over 1,000 miles to get away from snow, and they ran into more in Texas. So go figure. We've played 45 seconds, that's it. And ACU really is having it for the first offensive possession of the game after they got the steal and the score to start tonight. Makai Morris, our impact player coming in, had it poked free. Scooped up by Bryce Johnson, who comes in as a very early sub for Chicago State. On the attack, another charge. This one's going on Kedrick Green.
Two great defensive possessions there for the Wildcats, but going back to that defensive possession where Makai Morris fumbled that ball, that was one of the big talking points about Lamar in their previous matchup is Makai Morris, 17 points. He didn't turn the ball over once, so if Chicago wants to find a way into this game, it's definitely going to be attacking their starters.
ACU, the top scoring offense in the WAC at 78 points per game. Corian Mason, corner three.
Corian Mason, the leading scorer on this offense, and he's demonstrating it right there. He's great on the wings and he's great in the corners. He's just an all-around threat, and he can drive down low. Definitely something to be cognizant of for Chicago.
On the attack, into the paint, strip free. Tried to get it to Russian. Abilene Christian on the move. Simmons the recipient here. Another timeout for Chicago State. We have not even played 2 minutes. And a 7-0 start for ACU and a second timeout for the Cougars.
Not even 2 minutes, but we've already seen basically everything that this Wildcat offense can do. You saw the corner shooting there from Mason, and you see the ball movement as you see Arion Mason was open down low. Good pass, good setup to get him that ball, get 2 points on the board. A lot of Wildcat, and like Coach Brett Tanner was saying the other day, this looks like Wildcat basketball.
So Chicago State, they've only got 2 timeouts left. Gerald Gillian's been calling a couple of them. Comes over this year, first year with Chicago State. Was at Samford just last season, and then spent a couple of years at Tennessee Tech as well. He was also the program director at one of the top-ranked AAU team programs at Team Breakdown. And so he's a good recruiter. He knows where the talent is, especially if you can find it up in the Midwest in the Chicago area. Looking for the first points for the Cougars, as they've got it down 7-0. Brandon Metson, we talked about him coming in, dynamic three-point shooter.
And it's going to have to be a lot of this shootout basketball game if they want to get back into this one, especially look for Metson to have the ball in his hands quite a lot here tonight.
Half court set. Tobias Cameron, second chance, and he's fouled.
And we mentioned flexibility when talking about Tobias Cameron. There's no better example right there. Getting up the shot, couldn't get it to go the first time, gets his own rebound, pads his stats a little bit, gets fouled, goes to the line, has a chance for 2.
You want to talk about a crazy weekend that ACU had last week? But they were on the road. I mean, they were playing at UTRGV a week ago tonight, and then at Lamar last Saturday. Wildcats trailed UTRGV by 12 points with less than 2 minutes to go and came back to win that game by 2. And then trailed late in the game against Lamar. Corian Mason gets a layup late, with under a minute to go, and they hold on to win that one 85-82. 2 huge wins for the team that's now 5-5 in the WAC.
Very big wins, especially looking at how UTRGV and Lamar are both at the bottom of the conference. Taking losses to either of those teams would have been detrimental to the playoff possibilities for this Wildcat squad.
On the attack, Alexander. Really like watching him play. 5 straight double-digit performances. Misses the 3 here. Ball tapped free off the hands of Cameron Steele, but Alexander's got it. And Chicago State's got another opportunity, and it is the senior on the attack, and then the putback is no good from Hincho Rivera. Oh, opportunity for the Cougars. Morris, no good on the 3.
And one of the great playing points of this Chicago offense is getting those rebounds and getting a chance for those second chance points. We saw it right there, and they have great rebounding opportunities. Down 8-3, you're going to need them.
Nice pass to the find and the finish as Rivera converts. Hincho Rivera, the freshman out of Puerto Rico. Seen a lot of subs for Chicago State already. We've seen 10 Cougars in the game. Cameron to the rack.
Tobias Cameron has been flying all over the court here tonight. We talked about versatility, we talked about flexibility. He's got it on offense and defense. He demonstrates it there.
4th straight start for Cameron as we talked about coming in. This ball's free. Bigi Rumani lost the ball. He checks in. Dorian Mason was the hero at Lamar. Oh, Cameron didn't bring the ball with him. Steele in the corner. Well, this has been a little crazy here. Look at this. Metson, he lost it, and then the finish for Russian. Metson found his teammate behind him for the deuce.
Great defense there on that possession by the Cougars. Really getting to the ball, hounding those passing lanes, forcing that turnover.
It's been a little chaotic here last couple of moments. Miller's gonna launch.
Definitely one of the points of emphasis in that first and second timeout there, taken by the Cougars, was we had those fast break points that the Wildcats got on. So you see there that defense getting back quick on the defense.
Rivera, baseline. ACU scored the first 7. Chicago State has scored 9 of the last 12.
Able to make a little turnaround there. Again, look at this defense. They're trying to change the mentality a little bit early on those first 2 minutes, rocky start.
Push off on Miller here. Sends us to a timeout. We got a back and forth start, heating up on a chilly night in Abilene, Texas. Well, look at the weather out here tonight, and we're expecting a lot worse as we go. Campus already closed for tomorrow here in Abilene, Texas. Back inside the Teague Center here. How about this, though? A 7-0 start for ACU. Then Chicago State has scored 9 of the last 12.
We saw head coach Gillian for the Cougars taking a few of those early timeouts, kind of burning them there is what we thought. But after a few fast break points by the Wildcats, kind of giving your squad a chance to breathe and changing the front of that defense.
Look at Mason stealing the inbound and scoring for Abilene Christian. Wow. It was a charge on Reggie Miller that took us to the timeout, but then Mason just swiped that inbound and got his first field goal of the night. Then Miller takes it away from Corbett here. ACU defense showing up early on.
Looking to change the momentum here as the Wildcats.
Cameron Steele started early this season. He was the guy, had 18 starts to start the year. They've mixed it up during that losing streak. They bring him off the bench, and he's really been effective as he converts there. Cameron
Steele, one of the taller players on the court right now, is definitely going to be a big target down low in the paint. Look for those scoring options, those scoring opportunities with Cameron Steele now. A lot more assists from these Wildcats.
On a drive. Does it count? No, it is a foul on the floor. Coming on ACU. Here is first-year head coach Brett Tanner, a long time with the program for Abilene Christian. Was the assistant and associate head coach under Joe Golding. Takes over this season, was also at SFA for a long time, and he's got his Wildcats winners of 3 in a row after the 5-game losing streak. That's another charge. Offensive foul goes on Jashawn Corbett.
Emmanuel Allen's been great at that all season, getting his feet set long before contact was initiated. Takes the fall, goes down, gets the ref to call it, and that's just a great defensive play right there.
Allen took the game-winning charge against Lamar on Saturday.
You don't get to say that often, do you?
Right, no kidding. 2-point lead, and then with 8 seconds to go, it was a charge call, gave it back to ACU, and they ended up winning the game. Steal hands for Mason. Corian Mason adds a charge. Offensive foul on number 20.
Corian Mason a bit frustrated with that call.
Both sides with 4 team fouls here in the first half. Chicago State, 4 for their first 7 from the floor. That's a tough shot. No good from Metson. but they've got 8 turnovers already. That'll be something to clean up for sure. Allen goes baseline. That's a blocking foul, and 2 free throws are coming.
And that's what this Wildcat squad is very good at, especially on offense. You look at the three-point percentage, and players like Makai Morris kind of waning a little bit percentage-wise. They've always been heavily reliant on that long 2, mid-range 2 area that we just saw Allen take and make right there. Going to the line now for a chance for a 3-point play.
That foul went on Hincho Rivera for the Cougars. As Coach Gillian looks on, Emmanuel Allen, redshirt junior out of Phoenix, Arizona. Comes in this season as a 71% free throw shooter. ACU's the 2nd best free throw shooting team in the WAC at 73%. Allen started at Butler Community College. He's now in his 3rd year with the Wildcats after redshirting a couple of years ago, and then had a season come to an end last year with an ACL injury. Back and better than ever. Tough floater for Metson. Put back is an and one. It's Corian Russian cleaning up the mess, and he'll have a chance at a 3-point play.
And those are those second chance points that we talk about as we take a look at the replay here. Betson missed the floater, but there's the offensive rebound, going back up, getting a chance for a 3-point play. That's what this Chicago offense has really been relying on for a majority of the season. They don't lead in many of the categories, but one of the categories that they are very proficient in, especially in the WAC, is those offensive rebounds.
And that 3-point play converted by the senior Russian out of right there in Chicago. He's playing at his 3rd school. Started at the College of Southern Idaho and then went to Idaho State before returning home.
Damian Daniels in the game now, looking to facilitate the offense.
Boy, both teams a ton of depth. Daniels. And now Simmons to work in the paint, missed everything. Well defended by Russian.
That floater there and that mid-range 2 has really been Arion Simmons' bread and butter this season. It's going to be a big point of emphasis for the
Bryce Johnson. He barely had the ball in his hand right there. Caught it, shot it, and drilled it. They haven't taken a lot of them, but Chicago State 2 for their first 3 from downtown. Allen charge. We got a 1-point game as we go back and forth. Been a lot of offensive fouls early on. ACU leads it by 1. Rebounding is going to be a key in this game. For more on that, let's send it over to Joseph Joppa.
Well, hey guys, winning the battle on the glass is essential to successful basketball. And right here, Chicago State, who is 3rd in the WAC and 53rd in the country in offensive rebounds, and ACU, who is 10th in defensive rebounds. And ACU has been known to struggle against taller opponents, but Coach Tanner assured his fans that with toughness and discipline to box out, ACU can come out with a victory. Guys, back to you.
Joseph, thank you very much. With friends behind him there hanging out and finding the camera. No question about it. It's a great talking point, though. It is what Chicago State does best. Go get the offensive rebound. As that 3 is offline from Chukukelu.
But facing this Wildcat defense, when you're talking about the Chicago offense, you're definitely going to have to expand it more than just offensive rebounds.
Taking care of the ball will be a factor, too. Daniels, floater, got it. Damian Daniels, he's in a nice groove right now, the senior out of Kansas City.
Damian Daniels, full energy, able to drive on you.
Oh, and then the ball poked free. Betson tried to create.
It's like Daniels may have gotten a hand or a face on that one. I didn't quite see.
Daniels this last weekend, he's had 3 steals in each of the last 3 games. 18 points for the weekend as well. Simmons to work in the paint. When they get number 23 going in the paint, Simmons can be unguardable at times.
Arion Simmons, definitely one of the leading scorers on this team. He's led the scoreboard in a lot of these contests, especially recently for the Wildcats. One of the big factors for this 3-game win streak.
Russian with Simmons all over him. Under 10 to shoot it. Daniels is there again for a takeaway. No numbers here, and it didn't matter. How did he do that?
Damian Daniels, every bit of 5'7", works his way down in the paint under that one. Nice Euro step, gets it to fall. Making those 2 points look easy is Damian Daniels.
I mean, I didn't think he had a chance at a shot attempt. That's really special. That's Metson, that's another special shot. Fade away on the baseline.
Metson's been shooting a lot of fadeaways, especially in this contest here. It looks like it's his money shot.
Simmons on the move. We remind you that Tuesdays on ESPN Plus get in-depth coverage of all things Abilene Christian men's basketball. It's the Brett Tanner Show presented by ACUTV every Tuesday at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central on ESPN Plus and the ESPN app.
Just looking at this Chicago offense, a lot of their points and most of their shots have been off these fast breaks as we've got a foul called there. And Alex,
steal offensive for ACU. How many offensive fouls are we going to get called tonight?
already at 7 and 6 respectively for both of these teams. But going back to Chicago offense, a lot of these shots have come from these fast breaks, fast transitions. Haven't been making all of them, but as we saw there with Metson in the fadeaway, they do their best work whenever things are fast and when the Wildcats don't have time to set up a real defense.
Chicago State had 8 turnovers in the game's first 7 minutes, and they've only had 2 over the last 5. Metson again creates. It's a kick out for Alexander. The junior finds the senior to make it a 2-point game.
Wildcats obviously respecting Metson's shooting potency right there as he drove down, draw a few players on him, open up your guy in the wing, gets an open 3.
Miller through traffic. Nothing doing. Cougars are just 2 and 10 away from home this season. This is Alexander again, way deep. Morris had to keep it in bounds, and then it's poked free. Great defense from Rivera. Metson charge.
Looked like a linebacker going on a blitz right there. I think he forgot what sport he was playing, lowered the shoulder and dropped Tobias Cameron, but that's going to go for a turnover there. And then again, we see Tobias Cameron, his potency on defense.
For what it's worth, the ball went in the hoop. It didn't matter. ACU's led the entire way. Remember about it, no reports, no spectators. According to official records, the game never happened, and so the movement here, this game is no secret. Wonderful initiative from College Insider as well.
Really an incredible story, and for you history buffs, it's worth a Google search.
Free throw no good, back to action. This has been high flying up and down here, ACU and Chicago State. The way it started, it was a little rough patch for the Cougars, but this thing's been back and forth and crazy, and that shot no good, and here comes the visitors on offense.
And by every available metric, it really shouldn't be. You look at Chicago, the stats-wise, 9th scoring offense in the WAC, whereas Abilene Christian is 1, and obviously we know about this Abilene Christian defense, so really kudos to this Chicago squad and how they've been able to fight and claw in this one.
I'll tell you, it's been spectacular to watch it so far. 25-20 ACU in front. We're at the 7.5-minute mark. And right now, looking at it, ACU and Chicago State, they're a combined 55% shooting. Mason picks off another inbound pass. Trying to convert it. Russian with the rebound.
And that was just a bad pass there. Obviously very telegraphed. Corian Mason able to get a jump on it, just couldn't finish. But with more of those plays, ACU certainly looking to pull ahead more.
Well, Chicago State's getting away with 13 turnovers so far to keep it a 5-point game. Daniels, oh, he to it. Oh, come on. And one, spectacular fashion.
Incredible Euro step from him earlier, but he adds on it there, adds the and one. Just incredible athleticism from Daniels, not only on offense, but on defense. We saw he got that steal, got down the court.
Chance at a 3-point play. What? He did what? How did that go in?
But really, I mean, that's what we've been seeing all season from Damian Daniels, is that incredible athleticism and going down, that energy that he just never seems to get tired, running back and forth, offense to defense. Incredible finish there from Damian Daniels.
And the spin he put on that,
Yeah.
that is just crazy. Eight-point game. Largest lead for the Wildcats tonight. Johnson is fouled as he was driving to the paint. Simmons called for his second personal. It'll be a 1-and-1 coming up for Bryce Johnson. Chicago State played a good one against Dixie State last Saturday back at home. And Johnson will get a second free throw. It was close down to the end, and then Dixie closed on an 11-2 run. Ended up winning by 14, but it was a 5-point game late.
I believe Chicago was down by 17 at least twice in that game, so
Right.
they were able to come back to a degree. Obviously, like you said, only down by 5 there, just couldn't close it out.
Johnson, the freshman, makes it a 6-point game. Mason's all alone. ACU is 2 for 6 to start the night from downtown. 6 minutes left in the half. Johnson.
A lot of these open threes being missed here by both teams.
Cameron to Guy. Nice feed, nice finish.
Guy standing at 6'11", like we mentioned before, forced to be reckoned with. Some of the times his contributions to this offense may not be as obvious as getting the layup there, but right there you see the advantage of the height.
Metson gonna do his thing. Cameron works hard for the rebound. Boy, if the teams can run, they're gonna try to do it tonight. Trying to get up and down the floor.
Both of these defenses, though, have done a good job of preventing these fast breaks.
Cameron, Guy, foul.
Close one there. Almost had Teague Center on their feet, did Guy.
That's, again, a great find from Cameron. This will be free throws for UAT Guy.
Tobias Cameron got the steal to set up that offensive possession. You just see the kind of field general mentality as seeing all of his options, assessing them, and knowing where to go win.
UAT Guy, the junior out of Australia, started at South Plains College, played there for a couple of years. Also participated in the JUCO shootout and was in the NJCAA tournament as well. First year with Abilene Christian. So he spent time in Texas. That's how the coaches got familiar with him and thought this could really help our front court. That was the big need that was addressed in the offseason for the Wildcats.
UAT Guy, obviously 6'11", as a junior, still got a year to go. Maybe Coach Brett Tanner looking for that Colton Cole replacement, that big force to be reckoned with down low.
Turning Rivera. On the move was Alexander. He had it poked free. Well, here comes Daniels again. Now Miller up ahead.
There are those fast break points. The Cougars, we talked about it before, they were fast getting back on defense, but right there, when you're getting turnovers and getting steals like Damian Daniels was right there, it's hard to do anything about that. Reggie Miller with the easy two.
23 of these 34 points for ACU are off of turnovers. been the big difference tonight. Travel call on Metson. Metson 2 points. 2 turnovers so far. One of the leading scorers for this Cougar squad.
And we've talked about the back and forth on the scoreboard, but how about the back and forth foul-wise? Both of these teams, 9 fouls with 4:37 left to play in the half. Really aggressive play is what that demonstrates both on offense and defense.
It's a 6-0 run for ACU. Guy makes it an 8-0 run.
UWOT Guy demonstrating why he should be on the court. He's only averaging 2.8 this season, but he has more than that here.
6 already. No field goals in the last 4.5 minutes for Chicago State. No points in the last 2 minutes. That continues here. Offensive foul on Jashawn Corbett.
And I think what we're really seeing from this Chicago offense is the inability to hit those open shots from downtown and from the perimeter, and some of those long twos as well. Those shots weren't going their way, so they change up their offense a bit, try go down low, get in the paint, but what we see is that's where this Wildcat defense, for the most part, is the strongest. A lot of those turnovers have been forced in that area, and they're not having a lot of success driving down in the paint.
Russian returns to the Chicago State lineup. Makai Morris is back out there for Abilene Christian, and he's going to shoot free throws after the foul there in the corner. Free throws for Makai Morris when we come back. Abilene Christian's built up a 14-point lead with under 4 to go. Coming up, the ESPN halftime report. We have Connor Mullins and Sawyer Davis in the studio. An ACUTV feature on Wildcat guard Emmanuel Allen. And we break down the first half with highlights and analysis. All coming up on the ESPN halftime report. 36-22. ACU's got their largest lead here of the half.
An eventful start to this game. Both teams going on a little bit of a scoring streak now, but the ACU Wildcats seem to have found their footing. 14-point lead with Makai Morris on the line.
Morris into the scoring column tonight for the first time, after having 33 points last weekend on the road, including 17 on Saturday in the win at Lamar. Hits both of them here. And the turnovers have just killed Chicago State here in this first half.
They've really killed Chicago. Obviously, you never want to commit a turnover, but also what comes with that is running down the court and gassing out your guys.
Acrobatic shot there as bodies hit the floor, and Russian's going to shoot 2 after the foul on Abilene Christian.
Yeah, but back to those turnovers, they hurt you in more ways than one. Again, your defense, as we take a look at that replay, your defense is running back and forth, and sometimes they get the stop, sometimes they don't. And it's also detrimental to the team's morale. Why can't we hold on to the ball? Why aren't we protecting the passing lanes? They hurt your team in more than just one way, and we've seen it here tonight.
So you saw Corian Mason come over to try to take the charge. It was not a foul on him. They actually called the foul on Guy first, so he's got 2 for Abilene Christian. Second free throw coming for Russian. Just a 55% free throw shooter with the ball poked back and a second opportunity here. And it is Metson. Oh, he lines one up from way downtown. Much needed shot for the Cougars.
Metson only was 1 for 4 from the field before that three-point shot. If they want to get back going into this game, they're going to need their shooters to start heating up, Metson included. Hopefully that starts a trend for these Chicago Cougars.
Cameron, he was in traffic, found some space.
There's Tobias Cameron again, that flexibility. He's all over the court, and he'll run back and forth, and what he does, he opens the target, makes it a lot easier for these Wildcat passers to get these assists.
Russian on the move. Under 3 to play. The Cougars looking for a little bit of a run here. Ball poked free again. And then the pass to no one at the end of the shot clock. Turnover number 17 in the first half for Chicago State.
And that's what happens when you play these Wildcats. They, in the NCAA, force the most turnovers per game. they're all over, and really a stout showing of their defense right there. They never let an open guy get a ball for too long. They were always on the man with the ball. Just great fundamental basketball defense right there.
Looks like a zone for Chicago State. Baseline for Raha Kado Dadu, number 15, into the game for ACU. Foul off the ball.
It's like they're saying it's on Damian Daniels.
And this will be bonus free throws. And it'll put Dominique Alexander at the line. Senior out of Los Angeles. First year with the Cougars. He started at Antelope Valley and then made a stop at Compton College. That's where he started. Played at Antelope Valley. When he did that, he played one game last year, and then their season ended. They cut all of those games at the JUCO level. So Alexander transfers over to Chicago State. First year with the Cougars. He's been really, really good.
One of the more well-rounded players on this Chicago offense. Leads the team from the charity stripe, shooting 870, demonstrates it there.
He's scoring 8 points a game. Well, boy, has he been on a stretch lately. Wasn't off to a great start. 5 straight double-digit efforts to get his average up to 8. 13-point difference here as we're under 2 to go in the first half. Important couple of minutes here for Chicago State.
Most definitely.
Daniels, step back splash.
And the reason why it's so important these final 2 minutes, even though it's not realistic to retake the lead, it is realistic to kind of change the momentum. That's what they're looking to do here.
Alexander, no.
But you can't do that by missing threes.
Cameron, he's open. 15-point lead. Go back to the Daniels step back.
And he right there just demonstrates his versatility all across the court. We saw that and one earlier, and we see that step back all over the place on offense.
Morris. Second chance for a 3 for Morris tonight. He's 0 for 2. Shot clock is not correct for Chicago State. It only shows 5 to shoot it. That's not right. There's no way. There is no way that they had the right time. Oh, they're calling. No way.
Well, the refs are going to have to talk about this one.
I saw that immediately. They
Yeah.
did not put the full time on the shot clock when that possession started.
Maybe an error on the scorer's table.
For
the refs
sure.
are going to talk it out.
There is zero chance the 30 seconds came off the clock right there. That possession started with like 1:12. I mean,
Yeah. No, but they initially called it as the shot clock was legit, so we'll see what the decision is right now.
The 3 was no good from Morris, and then the possession never turned.
Yes, that's what
And
it
so
was.
they never put a new 30
That's
on.
what it was. Because they crossed half court with only 8 seconds to shoot.
No way was that right. Let's see if we look at it here. Yeah, so there's the time running out, but there was, that possession started with 0 time, and so they just never.
Refs are taking the time to explain it to the players. Looks like everything's going to go back to normal.
There we go. So they were 14 seconds short. So they put 14 on the shot clock. So 16 came off. And now we're under a minute to go.
Shortened possession here for the Cougars.
But at least they get their full shot clock there. Now 10 to shoot it, and this is accurate. Alexander. Oh, how did he find the pass inside? Great vision and the foul. And it's going to put Russian at the line.
And we were just talking about Alexander. He's shooting from all over the court, especially here tonight. He's got good percentages for the most part everywhere, but as we see right there, the field general, he is able to find that out. He's able to find Russian down low. Obviously couldn't get the shot to fall, but he's going to the line. And just a great showing of offensive prowess there by Alexander.
Chicago State is 5 for 9 at the line here in the first half. We talked about it, though. That's not a great three-point or free throw shooting team. Bottom 30 in the country in that stat at 65% as a team. 14-point lead for Abilene Christian and about a 16-second difference or so. Morris tap free. Russian got a hand on it.
Wildcats right there, just looking to pass a guy open. There was a lot of good ball movement right there. Makai Morris just trying to go to the wing, couldn't get it. Good defense there by the Cougars.
11 to shoot off this inbound. Three to shoot. Morris gonna launch. 0 for 3. Cameron, the putback no good. And Chicago State can hope for the final shot. No good from Johnson. Cameron gonna get it off. And that'll send us into halftime. It is ACU 42 and Chicago State 28, a 14-point lead for these Wildcats. Time for the ESPN halftime report. Connor Mullins and Sawyer Davis. Guys, it is all yours.
And we welcome you inside the studio, Connor Mullins alongside Sawyer Davis. A great first half from ACU, 42-28 lead at halftime. What did you see from that first half?
Well, you really see both teams really kind of look even in the first few minutes of that game. Finally, we see ACU kind of pull away and get a lot of points off of turnovers. For sure, ACU had a lot of turnovers forced in the last few minutes. So ACU looking fresh in the last few minutes, and we'll see if they can keep that going.
ACU with the big lead at halftime. As we head to break, ACU up 42-28 here at halftime at the Teague Special Events Center. And now it's time for our halftime report. ACU up 42-28 here at halftime in the Teague Special Events Center here in Abilene on a cold day. And now we're inside the studio. ACU up 42-28. Let's break down this first half just a little bit more. What did ACU do to get this 14-point halftime lead?
Well, the biggest thing I see is forcing turnovers. ACU forced 17 turnovers in that first half and had 26 points in the paint. And also, if we look at the turnover stat, we had 27 points off the turnover. So let's take a look at the standings here as we talk about that here.
We look at the standings. ACU 7th in the WAC right now, really in the thick of it in conference play right now. Chicago State toward the bottom. What's it going to take for ACU to get into one of those top 4 spots to get a bye in the tournament?
Well, Connor, as we near into March, we see Abilene Christian kind of in the middle kind of quadrant of this standings here. And these last few games here for them are going to become really critical if they want to move up the standings and get a good spot in the conference championship.
And now we look around the WAC. Lamar and UTRGV facing off tonight. The two bottom teams in the WAC and some big games this weekend with Seattle U and Grand Canyon, California Baptist. New Mexico State, a really good game. Utah Valley, SFA, Dixie State, and Sam Houston. This conference is really in the thick of it right now. All teams right now are really contesting each other, and a lot of upsets happening.
And this conference really is a very competitive basketball conference, and all these games are going to come right down to the wire.
And now we're going to go to weather. It's a cold one here in Abilene. ACU expecting 4 to 5 inches of snow here in the next couple days. As we take a look at the forecast, a really sleety rain right now here in Abilene.
If this doesn't show you how West Texas weather can be, I really don't know what will. Tuesday was a high of 72, and then Wednesday a high of 31. We have rain and sleet and all that stuff that everybody loves. And so it's really going to affect the travel for both of these teams, and we'll see if they can overcome that.
42-28 lead for ACU at halftime once again, and now we're going to throw it to a feature with ACUTV's Emily Schaefer. Had a chance to sit down with Emmanuel Allen.
I mean, I tried other things. I just didn't love it as much as basketball, and I figured if I'm not going to love it as much as I love this, then why focus on it.
Take us through that buzzer beater play in November against UTA.
At first, I almost ran to the basket, not knowing that we needed a three. And I realized I took like a couple steps forward running to the basket. I was like, oh, we need a three. So I stepped back to the three-point line, raised my hand. Reggie was able to get me the ball. I just shot in and was able to go in. I thought it was cool because of my story, just being a redshirt and then not being able to play all of last year and being able to come in and like really help the team, be able to win Coach Tanner's first game because he was the person that recruited me and brought me to ACU. I thought it was really cool, like when I got to the locker room and just like sat there and could really like decompress, like I've come a long way and like he's really stuck with me this whole time and like he never gave up on me or anything like that, and I was able to help him get his first win as a head coach.
What kind of skills on the court are going to help you in your future career path?
Definitely being able to handle adversity. Obviously, on the basketball court, not everything's ever going to go your way, and obviously in the workplace, that's going to be the exact same thing. Nobody has the same walking path of life that you may have, and so just being able to step out of your shoes and be able to be in somebody else's shoes and understand what they're going through and have empathy towards them, I think is something I could really take from the basketball team to the special ed classroom, hopefully. I feel like if we continue to just play, Coach Tanner says it all the time, play ACU basketball, play with each other and for each other, I don't see why not we can't be a team that can really compete and try to win a WAC conference title, because that's our plan, is to compete and be there at the end in Las Vegas.
Second half is moments away. Abilene Christian leading Chicago State here tonight, 42-28. As we say, welcome courtside, everybody. Zach Carlisle along with Cohen Carpenter. Well, Chicago State started off a little rough. They got back in it, but then Abilene Christian pull away and they lead by 14.
Abilene Christian, as you said, been pulling away. They've only been shooting 22% from three-point land because they haven't really needed to do anything else. 27 points off turnovers, 26 points in the paint. They've been getting it done all around here on offense as we take a look at those team stats.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the shooting, and for Chicago State, that equates to 45% from the floor. But the bottom line is clearly the difference in the game. 17 turnovers for the Cougars.
And then you got fast break points that go along with that. Abilene Christian, 15 fast break points to Chicago State's none.
Yeah, and leading the way off the bench tonight has been Damian Daniels, the ACU senior.
Damian Daniels, we talked about him going into the break, his flexibility, going back and forth. Obviously, we see the pullback jumper right there. He had a three-point play in form of that and one earlier, and he's been all over the place in the Euros and definitely in the paint, especially when you look at on defense. Defense leads the offense. Damian Daniels, a prime example. 9
points to lead the way for Abilene Christian here tonight as ACU has this 14-point lead. Second half is coming up in just a moment. Before we get going, let's send it over to the third member of our team, Joseph Chapa.
Well, hey guys, Coach Tanner said during the show on Monday that his squad has to go back to playing Wildcat basketball. He explained how that simply just means going back to their team identity of forcing turnovers, toughness, and overcoming the odds. Now that they're back at home, that only feeds fuel more to their fire of already forcing 17 turnovers in the first half. Let's see if they can continue that style of play. Guys, back to you.
Joseph, thank you very much. And yeah, turnovers will absolutely determine what's going to happen here in the second half of this ball game, as well as Chicago State tries to get back in this thing. Abilene Christian 13-0 this year when they lead at halftime. Chicago State 1-14 when they trail at the break. An early foul, and it's offensive, and we've seen about 9 million offensive fouls called tonight. That has just been back and forth the entire way for both of these teams.
Yeah, they got into bonus quick there early on in the first half, but as you mentioned, going back to the turnovers is going to be crucial for this Abilene offense if they want to continue building this lead.
That's a travel. Russian walked with it.
Back-to-back turnovers, much like we saw in the first half kicking off the second half here.
ACU 53% shooting. Three-pointers, not much of a factor. They took care of the ball as well. Just 7 turnovers for the Wildcats. Mason, tough shot. Use the right hand from the lefty.
And if there was going to be an avenue for the Cougars to climb into this game, it was going to be the three-point shooting. But as you mentioned, it hasn't really been there for either team. More detrimental for these Cougars.
On the backside, and it's a foul first. They were looking to get it to favor Chukukelu, junior out of Las Vegas, number 5. And it turns out to be a foul first. It's on Corian Mason. In the 16-point game, they were able to get it into the paint, and Russian finishes it after ACU went for the steal and couldn't get it.
Russian now with 8 points on the game, leading scorer for this Cougar squad. He's been getting it done really all around the court as we see it there. He hit a 3 early on as well.
Russian and Benson, 8 points apiece to lead Chicago State. 5 to shoot it for Mason. We'll see if 20 goes by himself. Rise and fire. Short, put back for 2, it's Simmons.
And that was supposed to be the Cougars' offense with those offensive rebounds and those second chance points, but Arion Simmons always going to be a threat for those second chance points whenever he's on the court. He loves living in the paint, and you see it right there.
Yeah, to your point, Chicago State just 4 offensive rebounds and 6 second chance points tonight. That's kind of been their MO this year. Foul inside. I think it's on Simmons. And if it is, it's his 4th. 4 on number 23 tonight for ACU.
And he gets in foul trouble a lot, but Coach Brett Tanner, especially in those closer games, Coach Brett Tanner has never really shied away from playing him, but obviously in a game like this, 46-31, you can take the liberty of taking him out. Don't risk one of your better players on the squad.
That's going to be good news for Gerald Gillian, the Chicago State head coach. And Chukukelu able to convert at the foul line. So cut it back to 14. So no Simmons probably for a while for Abilene Christian, which probably means more Emmanuel Allen. Zone defense once again. Allen to work, heading to the line.
There's Emmanuel Allen doing his best Arion Simmons impression, working down low in the paint, going up, getting the foul. Finding that gap in that 2-3 zone defense that the Cougars have been running for a majority of this contest.
I'm curious to see how they continue to try to find space, because typically you can maybe shoot your way out of a zone with 3-point shooting. That hasn't really been the case here tonight for ACU.
Not at all, hasn't been falling for either team. So it's really just muscle on muscle, big on big. We're gonna challenge you where we think that we're best, where you think that you're best, down low in the paint. And so far ACU's been winning that battle.
You saw Bryce Johnson, the freshman out of Orlando, check in for Chicago State, number 3. Allen, good. And then there's this end of the floor. Chicago State trying to take care of the ball and execute here to get back in it. Rivera had it poked free. Extra pass, it's Johnson, corner 3.
And that's one of the dangers of overcommitting, especially in that man defense. When you got 2 or 3 guys on one of their better shooters, you're obviously going to leave people open. As there's a foul committed at half court, they're going to call that on Reggie Miller.
Offensive. 9 million charges in 1 tonight. This is the 3 from Johnson. He's got 2 of their 5 triples tonight.
He does, and a lot of that has been through that man defense like we were saying before. He's been open a few of those times, hasn't made all of those shots, especially for the Cougars in general as a team, but right there, capitalizes.
Cougars get it back, down to Baker's dozen. Their 1 win when trailing at half was their last win of the season here at Lamar. And that was on January the 15th. The foul here.
Take a look at this replay.
It's on Mason.
Russian going up for the slam there, but foul was called prior to the play.
So that dunk from Russian is irrelevant. Foul was on the floor. Metson, so crafty. Step back, nylon.
Shooting 350 from downtown on the season as Metson demonstrates it there. A little shake and bake to get himself open. Works that shot in. Definitely going to need a few more of those as we look at that statistic right there. 508 three-pointers attempts, which is third in the WAC. Not a lot that this Chicago offense does particularly well, but they do throw up the three ball quite a bit.
That was coming into tonight. 13 attempts for the game. Mid-range for Allen.
Again, just trying to find holes in that 2-3 zone. Emmanuel Allen definitely found the secret sauce.
Who'd that go off of? Tobias Cameron thought he was able to get it to go out of bounds off of Alexander, but it'll stay at this end. 19 to shoot for Chicago State. Alexander on the move. Takes on the defender and converts.
Alexander hasn't shied away from the three ball here tonight, but elects to take it down low, drive to the paint. Makes the Wildcats pay for it. Brings it to only a 10-point lead now for ACU.
Morris, bullseye. His first three.
You gotta love the confidence of Mekhi Morris when the squad isn't doing so well three-point shooting, still electing to take that shot.
It's Johnson again, what an answer. Go back to a 10-point game. The threes are starting to fall.
Johnson in the corner has been lethal. He's taken a few shots, hasn't made all of them, but right there makes the Wildcats pay. Definitely got to give him a little more respect when he's setting up in the corner.
Daniels 9 first half points. Allen turns around. Oh, he's feeling that.
Allen with the quick jumper, loving the mid to long range too. He's efficient in areas where most players are not.
So many guys that can just make plays when they have to. Russian's one of those.
It's a good back and forth here, but Wildcats able to keep it a back and forth is important. Keep this 10-point lead.
This is a clinic of offensive basketball right now from both sides. Able to just go one-on-one when you have to. Jayshon Jackson on the attack for ACU. It's a 10-point game right now. ACU in front at home. The 2022 WAC basketball tournament presented by Hercules Tires takes place March 8th through the 12th at the Michelob Ultra Arena and the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. For more information on tickets, visit ticketsmarter.com. And for more information on the road to WAC Vegas, visit wacsports.com. 10-point lead. And we have seen some offense here, and that's an acrobatic inbound steal stripped away. Great play by Chicago State defensively.
We keep that alive. That was Alexander diving out of bounds.
But boy, we've seen some guys just kind of make a play one-on-one. Here's Mason. He's gonna go.
And you're talking about making one-on-one plays. Who better than Corian Mason? Defense leading the offense right there, adding to that already skewed fast break point column.
That's steal number 3 for Simmons. That ball out of bounds at this end.
Take a look at the replay. This Corian Mason gets the steal.
Reads this like a book.
That's just a great read of the passing lane there. Maybe a little too telegraphed. Either way, leads to 2 points for the Wildcats.
6 minutes in, and Chicago State has really looked nice offensively here. Just a couple of turnovers in there, 6 of 7 from the floor. Alexander looking backside. Oh, somehow got it to Rivera. ACU's made 5 of its last 6 shots. Offensive foul. It's on Cameron Steele, looking for positioning in the paint. Off the ball.
Already the 6th foul for the Wildcats with 13:27 left to play in the game.
Which means bonus the rest of the way for the Cougars after they get this one inbounded.
The game's not too particularly far off, only a 12-point lead for the Wildcats, and that bonus is big. However, it's going to be interesting to see if the Cougars can really capitalize on that bonus. Like we mentioned before, free throw shooting is not their strong suit, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays a role moving forward.
I thought Alexander was going to pull the trigger. Instead, Mason took it away. He's got the and one.
Alexander definitely thinking he should have pulled the trigger now. Corian Mason making him pay, driving all the way down to the court. Again, add to those fast break points. Corian Mason, elite.
Special senior.
Demonstrating right there why he is the leading scorer on this Wildcats team. Going up, making it look easy.
He's been playing with a shoulder injury all year long, but you know, they talked to him during the offseason, and he's had the injury at the beginning of the season. And I mean, you can't take a red shirt. He's a super senior, right? You had that free year a year ago. You could come back if you wanted. So he's basically what we call a COVID senior. But you don't have another year, so you can't medical red shirt. He just said, you know what? I'll deal with the surgery when the season's over. He wanted to play one more time. Doesn't even look like he's hurt out there when he plays. Daniel's no good.
Definitely can't tell he has an injured shoulder just by watching him play.
As tough as they come. 12-point game. Off Rivera. It's Metson. He'll let him fly from anywhere on the floor. Daniels, can he do this again? We've seen it a few times.
The way how fast he can start and stop is something impressive to watch.
Wide open. Well, he knew he was gonna miss.
Boy, follow your shots.
Allen. Free throw's coming.
Damian Daniels is something else. Cougars currently in a 2.5-minute scoring drought. A little bit of a back and forth there for a while. But this Wildcats defense seemed to shore up, put a stop to that.
It's interesting, maybe Daniels did know. I mean, he kind of felt that off of his hand, kind of knew. Three-pointers have not been his strength, just 19% this year. Allen at the line, so he's the one who benefits from Daniels' smart play. Noah Bigi Romani checks back in. The senior out of Santa Clara, California.
Manuel Allen having one of the better nights of the season for him. If he makes this shot, which he does, into double-digit point-wise now.
10 points, a rebound, and 6 of those have come at the foul line for Allen.
And after that back-and-forth run between the Cougars and the Wildcats, where it stayed at 10 points mostly for a few minutes there, ACU hasn't let up. 6-0 run. Currently 59-45.
2.5-minute scoring drought for the Cougars. Help side, and Daniels poked it free of Metson.
Great defense there by Daniels. We were talking earlier about his ability to start and stop. He was leaning back when he was going. Metson was heading into that shot there. Damian Daniels able to put his foot on the gas, get there, get a hand on the ball, knock it out of bounds.
Alexander. open. He is shooting it 1 for 5 from distance tonight.
You want Guy there for the rebound. He's having himself a little bit of night too.
Ten to shoot for Daniels. Now just 3, and it is an offensive foul to take us into a timeout. We've had a ton of offensive fouls tonight, and Abilene Christian's got the 14-point lead. Metson in transition. Inside the ACUTV studios, ACU is in front by 14 at halftime. Hutton Harris, Will King, and the gang, the student-run crew, doing a wonderful job putting our games on ESPN Plus all season long. Zach Carlisle, Cohen Carpenter, Joseph Chapa, glad to have you with us for WAC Hoops on ESPN.
If you're
Well, a
head coach,
14-point lead here, and neither offense has gotten going here the last few minutes. See how things shake out.
if you're head coach Gerald Gillian, he's obviously in the timeout right there talking to his players. One of the big points of emphasis that has to be talked about right there is protecting the passing lanes. ACU's done a great job of getting in those passing lanes. We saw Corian Mason as we went into break there, stealing fast break points. So one of the things you got to shut down is protecting those passing lanes, getting those open shots, and making sure you capitalize on them.
Pretty impressive to just have the 3 turnovers so far in the second half for Chicago State after 17 in the first. Turning and taking on defenders was Corian Russian.
So
He's going to shoot 2.
Tobias Cameron, it looked like. Garden Russian on the shot.
Yep, and it's his first. Russian, a senior out of Chicago. Second year with the Cougars. Last year he was unable to play the first 7 games of the season due to transfer rules. But then the NCAA Council granted a blanket waiver allowing immediate eligibility for everybody. And that was last year during the COVID and everything. And then it turned out to be a free year for everyone. So Russian was able to play, and now he's in his second year with this program. And first year head coach Gerald Gillian. Simmons back in. He's got 4 fouls, and he draws one here. And so big number 23 is going to the line for the Wildcats, and he draws the foul on Corbett.
And one of the great things about Arion Simmons and one of the great things about watching him play is when he gets into foul trouble, which he does quite often, he doesn't shy away from making those aggressive plays, driving down low in the paint and kind of hunting for those steals. As you see right there, gets the foul, pays off.
And actually the foul was on Biggie Romani. You see that number, free throws made, 6th in the country, and free throws attempted also 6th in the country for Abilene Christian. They have been so good, and it's been so important for them to get to the line. Over 100 free throw attempts in the last 3 games for Abilene Christian.
And it helps when you're shooting 73% from the charity stripe as well.
Over 30 per game in the last 3. Been to the line tonight 15 times. 5 to shoot. Alexander turns, and with the left hand is Biggie Romani.
And that's what happens when you open up the passing lanes. You find the open man right there and get the shot down low in the paint.
12-point game. Chicago State not out of this. They've been able to get it to 12 to 14 here a couple of times, trying to hang in here and trying to make a run to close this thing as we approach the halfway point of this second half.
Wildcats at this point in the game up by 12. Kind of cruising a little bit, don't need much offensive production, can really rely on that defense.
Long 2, it's Steele, air ball. Biggie Romani with a rebound, the 4th-year Cougar. How about this end of the floor for Chicago State?
Definitely slowing it down a lot more compared to what they were doing early on.
Alexander, no good. He's really been unable to get that three-point shot to go. 1 for 6. Miller draws a double. Morris off his leg. Well, foul first. Thought he dribbled it to the sideline instead.
That's what it looked like. Mekhi Morris, a little bit of a sloppy game here a little bit. He's had a few of those turnovers, coming off an impressive, incredible game against Lamar where he had 17 points on no turnovers. But he's done his fair share of offensive production here.
Miller may have been altered. Russian might have got a hand on that. Big three. It's short from Corbett. Boy, that would have been a big shot. Cut it to single digits. Steal. He's blocked. That's a goaltend.
Ball was definitely coming down. Touch the glass there.
Yep, anytime it goes off the backboard.
Ball touches glass right there. Russian still puts his hand on it. Good call right there.
Goes down as a basket for Steele, and he's got 4 points. And 9 minutes off the bench.
Cougars are definitely going to have to open up that three-point shooting game if they want to claw their way back into this one. We mentioned Alexander, only 1 for 6. Going to have to make a change here. Metson the guy to do it.
He hits another. 4th three-pointer for Brandon Metson. His 15th game with multiple threes this year. Mason was ready. An 11-point difference. ACU's typically had an answer each time at this end.
Definitely slowed it down a lot more on offense at the Wildcats.
Allen wide open. That's a big stop for Chicago State.
It's a wide open shot there for Emmanuel, looking to feed the hot hand, but he's been hot from that long two range. Emmanuel Allen not shooting a lot of threes.
2-man game. Russian with authority.
2-on-1 right there, powers his way through it. He's thrived in the paint tonight.
Steele. Mason. I think it's a defensive foul. It is. Free throws when we come back. Chicago State not done yet. That's Metson from deep. Brandon Metson, 4 three-pointers tonight for Chicago State.
And we were talking about it. If the Cougars want to claw their way back into this one, it's going to be Brandon Metson, and it's going to be that three-point game. We talked about Alexander, too. He was shooting a bit, not getting them to fall. Brandon Metson shooting 350 from downtown so far. Going to need to continue that kind of production going forward.
14 points, couple of rebounds. Now the place is going crazy. They're throwing out free stuff here at the center. So 7.5-minute mark here. Chicago State's got it to 9. For the first time in forever, they have got it to single digits here. They just haven't been able to quite claw their way back here. But if they get some of those outside shots to fall, they're right back in this thing.
And the Wildcats have also done a very good job of responding to those various Cougar possessions. As we see here, Corian Mason been a big part of that.
And of note, that foul went on Jashawn Corbett, the start of the freshman out of Florida, and he has fouled out of the game now. So no Corbett the rest of the way, no points in just 10 minutes as he fouls out for the night. Mason 2 big free throws and the lead back to 11 for Abilene Christian. ACU going for their 4th consecutive win. Chicago State trying to snap a 2-game losing streak. Baseline attack and a finish. It is Bryce Johnson. I love watching this freshman play.
In the past few Wildcat games, it's really been the storyline of a lot of games that should have been farther away, been really close. We talk about Lamar and UTRGV here against Chicago, a game that many thought may have been a blowout, fighting their way back.
Mekhi Morris. Oh, then the putback attempt from Steal, no good. Chicago State outscoring ECU 27-22 in the second half. Russian fouled once again. Well, we've seen a lot of Corian Russian here in key moments. He's heading back to the line. He has taken half of the free throws tonight for Chicago State.
Gotten to the line quite a bit. And how big is that Arion Simmons getting to 4 fouls? He's in foul trouble. Usually a player that would be crucial in these kind of situations, kind of quelling a comeback. He's on the bench right now.
Russians 4 for 8 at the line tonight. 8 of the 15 free throws for the Cougars have come from Corian Russian. Deep. Eight-point lead here for ACU. Damian Daniels has been huge tonight for the Wildcats off the bench.
Need to muster something here on offense. Wildcats are 1 for their last 7.
Mason attacks, blocked, foul. Foul first. Johnson poked it from him, but it's a defensive foul on Russian.
Yeah, Corian Mason going up right there with the left hand. Russian got every bit of his forearm. Good call there, going to the line for 2. Take a look at that replay. Corian Mason rather driving down low.
Called the body on Russian there, it must have been. Corian Mason, the senior from Oklahoma City. 3rd year with the Wildcats. 3rd team all Southland a year ago. And the leading scorer this year for ACU at 12.5 per game.
Extends the lead back to double digits.
Feels like a big possession as we approach 6 minutes to go. Johnson, 3 again. He's got 16 to lead the Cougars.
Johnson and Betson have been on fire from downtown. What the Wildcats need to do on defense is force those guys, cover them up, force them to find other options, because right now the Cougars haven't really been able to respond in any other way. But Johnson and Betson really carrying that Cougar offense.
It is a 7-point game. And now a foul as Miller was harmed by Rivera. This is a 1-and-1 coming up for Reggie Miller, much to the dislike of Coach Gillian.
If you're the Wildcats on the defense, you need to spread the defense out, make sure you're covering the perimeter, and especially covering Betson and Johnson. Johnson's been wide open one too many times. We saw on the wing that pass shot, but he's been open in the corner as well. And those shots have what really allowed this Cougar offense to kind of fight their way back into this one. So look forward to the Cougar offense again, relying on Betson, relying on Johnson, those open shots.
That was just the 3rd free throw miss tonight for ACU. They're 17 of 20. Alexander taken away. There's that ACU defense again. Out of bounds, a giveaway right back. Turnovers traded. But I tell you what, this is just 4 turnovers in the second half for the Cougars.
They've definitely shored up. We talked about going into halftime was cleaning up those passing lanes. Corian Mason, Damian Daniels, they were feasting on stealing those balls going in between the Cougar offenders. But they've done a good job, as you said, in this second half, cleaning that up, and it's what led them to mount a little comeback here.
Betson, does that count? Yes, it does! Are you kidding? Brandon Betson, a magician for Chicago State.
Aside from shooting threes, that fadeaway has done wonders for Betson in this Cougar offense. You see it right there.
Does that basket count? I thought it did. Maybe not. This might just be the 2 free throws.
Look like the head official just signaled that it does not. Yep, he's getting 2 shots here.
Okay, so this is 2 shots. It is a foul on the floor. and not that continuation for Metson.
Double bonus now for the Cougars.
I thought I saw the official point down
It looked like it was.
for that and one, but they decide to change it, and so now a chance to make it a 5-point game.
Impressive start still there from Brendan Metson, expanding the court a little bit.
I'm a little confused as to why this isn't a 3-point play chance, but the 2 free throws make it a 5-point game. Big possession for the Wildcats here. ACU hasn't had a field goal in 4 minutes. A foul. Both guys going for it. And it's a foul on Russian, and that'll be his 4th. That's big. Corian Russian and Arion Simmons will go to the line.
After Corbett fouled out already for the Cougars, Russian, one of the leading offensive producers for this offense. Be a big loss here, still with 4.5 minutes to play. Coach Gillian's going to be, you have to be careful in his usage.
Arion Simmons, the junior out of Little Rock. I feel like we haven't seen him a ton tonight, just 11 minutes with all the foul trouble. So he's got 4 of them as well for Abilene Christian. The lead is 7. No, it's not. It is not 7. It's a lane violation on Cameron. And so the lead's just 6 for ACU. That free throw doesn't count.
But what a comeback this has been for the Cougars. Down tremendously, especially going into that first half.
Similar to their game against Dixie State on Saturday. A drive, Metson, ooh, a little out of control. Johnson, big 3, no good. Makai Morris behind everybody, and the errant pass. The reset up shop, nice pass. Cameron, what a take and finish. Simmons found him.
Tobias Cameron going up, big body there, gets the shot to fall.
Metson again, contested. But Russian there for the board. Under 4 to go in an 8-point game. See if Metson does this again. He's got 16 points. He's made 4 threes. Splits the defenders. Alexander is denied by Simmons.
Arion Simmons blocking the shot and then staring him down, getting in Alexander's head. Great defensive play there for Arion Simmons. 4 fouls, and he is not shying away from the aggressive defense.
And then he's got it at this end. Chicago State wanted a goaltend. They didn't get it. Simmons denied. ACU up 10. ACU with a 9-point lead. Chicago State coming out of that timeout. They wanted the Simmons block to be a goaltend. So this was the block by Arion Simmons. And Chicago State was hoping for a goaltend there, and they didn't get the call. Tough to tell.
It's hard to tell. It may have touched the glass. Again, hard to tell from that shot there, but it may have touched the back of the glass. The bench definitely thought it did. Still, either way, they can't review it because play continued. Arion Simmons went down the court, finished on offense. Nothing the coaching staff of the Cougars can really do at that point.
And then the bucket for Simmons at the other end forced the Chicago State timeout. 9-point game with 3.5 to go. These possessions become huge for Chicago State, really for both sides here down the stretch.
For both sides, and it really comes down, when it comes down to free throw shooting time, it's obviously Wildcat advantage because they're shooting 73% on the charity stripe. And we talked about the Cougars shooting woes, especially when it comes to the foul line.
You like this backcourt pressure here from ACU, full court man-to-man.
Very aggressive, but that's been a hallmark of this Brett Tanner defense.
And really just picking everybody up at length. Rivera drives, he had it taken away. Wow,
Damian Daniels,
again.
Good pickpocket there.
Hesitation, backdoor pass, oh, and a foul. What a pass from Daniels. He's been all over the highlight reel tonight.
Damian Daniels gets steals in the same way that he sets up those kind of shots. He'll run all the way around the court, get back, get a pickpocket, run down the court, set up those assists. Mekhi Morris going to the line, hoping to capitalize on it, but man, Damian Daniels is a generational talent.
Well, it is free throws for Abilene Christian when we come back as ACU leads it by 10 with 3 minutes left. 10-point game in Abilene, Texas. Here's what's coming up for Chicago State. Saturday at Tarleton. And then that home matchup next week with SFA at Sam Houston. Well, that's always a tough one. Before they'll then play the Lumberjacks again in Nacogdoches twice in a week's time for SFA as Mekhi Morris is at the line for ACU with 3 minutes to go here tonight. Here's what's coming up for ACU Saturday. We've got one at 3 o'clock on ESPN+. Their rematch with UTRGV that they just saw last week. Before at Tarleton and at Sam Houston. That might be a premier matchup in Huntsville. And then Lamar for the second time as well, coming into Abilene on the 24th. Big shot in the corner. Metson needed that. Back to 9 with 2:53 to go and a timeout called by Chicago State.
And one of the ways that the Cougars have really been able to fight their way going into halftime, the Wildcats had 27 points off of turnovers. Since then, they've only added 4 to that number. So like we said before, really great cleaning up those passing lanes and keeping care of the ball.
Yeah, and it's been big, and Chicago State really, for a couple of times, has just been able to get this thing into single digits, but making that final run to try to get the game tied, they haven't been able to get over that hump here, really for the second straight game.
And if you're going to get over that hump, like we said, you got to focus on keeping the ball in your possession and then making those threes. Metson Johnson been a big part of that, especially in the second half here.
Yeah, no question. We'll see if they can continue to make some big shots, but then they have to get stops. And when they foul ACU, the Wildcats are making their free throw.
Especially when you're fouling a team, like, again, we can't keep harping on this point enough, but 73% from the free throw line, one of the best teams in the NCAA. They're going to make those shots when you foul them, so it becomes really difficult playing this foul game, especially when you get later on, 2:53 left to play.
ACU goes for win number 4 in a row. In the first ever meeting between these two teams. I'm looking at some of the leaders here. Mason's got 16, Allen and Simmons each have 10 for ACU, and then Chicago State, Metson 19 points tonight. He has been special. That 3, again, it's his 5th of the ball game.
Going back to this full court defense is the Cougars. But the Wildcats here can afford to slow things down.
Late shot clock, Simmons to work. Miller lost it, 2 seconds, Simmons short. Ends up with the Cougars. And it took everything they had to come up with the ball.
Metson and Corian Mason. Corian Mason almost got up, got that offensive board, but he went down there with Metson.
Metson, no, the putback is in for Russian. It's a 7-point game with 2 minutes to go. Biggest possession of the game. Mason nearly got it.
This entire squad, really, for the most part, haven't been able to connect from downtown. The shooting woes continue.
That was just the 5th three-point attempt of the half for Abilene Christian. 1 for 5. Minute and a half. Metson, another! It's a 4-point game. He's got 6 triples, a season high.
Metson all by himself has outshot this Wildcat squad single-handedly. As there's yet another timeout call.
Timeout ACU with 1:18 to go. Here's Brandon Betson's unguardable right now.
And he has Damian Daniels on him right there. They're doing a good job of covering these guys, but Brandon Metson, when the chips are down, he's clutch. gets that shot to land there.
He's got 17 double-digit games, 22 points.
And in the blink of the eye, this is a 4-point game.
Wow.
For the longest time, it was a back and forth. There was that back and forth, but it was always with the Wildcats 10, 12, 13 points up. Look at the scoreboard after Brandon Metson, after that Russian drive, which was crucial. It's a 4-point game now in striking distance for the Cougars.
At the 118 mark, this is the closest Chicago State has been since middle part of the first half. Within 4. Outscoring ACU 41-31 here in the second half.
And again, a lot of similarities to the Cougars' Dixie State game where they were down by 17 on 2 different occasions in that game. Both instances, they fought their way back. Dixie State only ended up winning that game because of an 11-2 run in the final minutes of that contest. Sort of similar to what we're seeing here tonight.
Largest deficit tonight, 16 points. Eerily similar to what happened in Chicago on Saturday. 15 to shoot it. As we approach a minute left. It's been a crazy game on this Wednesday night. Reggie Miller, Cameron, blocked. Blocked away by Russian. And that should be a shot clock violation. It is. The Cougars will get the possession back with 56 seconds to go. They've turned up their defense here these last few.
And that's a big block shot there by Russian down low in the paint. We've seen Tobias Cameron make that shot, and he's had success with that very shot. Russian learning from his prior mistakes, getting on it, forcing that shot clock violation. More time to think about offensive and defensive strategy for the Cougars.
I think there's a couple of things you could have looked at on that possession. One, was that a goaltend on Russian?
Well, let's see.
No, it looked pretty clean.
It looked, yeah.
The possession, the angle from behind, that looked like the ball might have been going down, but that was a clean block. And then the question is, was the clock running out on that possession for the shot clock violation? And to me, that looked like no question right there. We'll see if we can take a look again. The officials are taking a peek at the monitor themselves. Yeah, that looked like a clean block.
Clean block right there.
And then the shot clock should have run out.
Get the decision here from the refs. A momentous decision with 56 seconds left in the game.
See what they decide. 56 even.
Technically a one-possession game here.
So it'll be Chicago State ball. They should have 30 on their shot clock.
Full-court man press here for the Wildcats.
56.8. They get that fixed. Just a 4-point difference.
Getting the ball, the leading scorer for the Cougars.
Why not? 22 points. I was kind of wondering if he would shoot that. They go inside. Rivera for 2. 2-point game with 40 and a half seconds. Now Chicago State is out of timeouts, but what a possession here.
That's just a big shot there from Rivera, even better pass. Find the open guy, kind of threading the needle in between 2 Wildcat defenders.
This is a 10-0 run in over 2 minutes for Chicago State. They trail it by 2.
What a turnaround for the Cougars.
Biggest possession, timeout. ACU's got 1 left.
24 seconds left on the clock, and these past few games for the Wildcats have really been big stress inducers. We talked about the Lamar game and we talked about the UT-RGV game where both of them came down to the wire. This one, if you go back to the first half, really wouldn't expect that, but here we are, and the Cougars are only down 2.
I mean, you talk about a little more than 2 minutes ago. This thing was a 12-point difference, and ACU looked like it was going to be a pretty comfortable coast to the finish, but now 10 straight for Chicago State here, and now this is the biggest possession of the game. Chicago State wants to play it out. 14 on the shot clock, they want to get one more stop.
Yeah, like you said, up 12, but Metson and Johnson had other plans. They are killing it from that downtown three-point range. Metson, we saw with that shot that could have gone either way on that three-point play. Didn't quite get that fadeaway to land, but they've been really lethal from all around the arc.
Let's go to this end of the floor. If you're ACU, what are you looking for offensively here?
Offensively, you got to slow down. You got to calm in. If they want to play the free throw game, you play the free throw game. You get your best shooters on the line, and you extend your lead here because right now a three can win it, and Metson's been hitting those threes.
Gigantic 14 seconds of the shot clock here coming up. Crazy finish coming. ACU hasn't scored in 2:43 of game action.
Only 2 and 6 is this Cougars team in conference, but they are fighting like they are at the top.
Corian Mason, ACU's leading scorer tonight with 16. 5 on the shot clock. On the attack and the finish. What a moment for Mason. Now a quick foul, it appears. How about this kid?
Corian Mason, leading scorer on this Wildcat squad, getting the ball down low, man on man, one on one. We talked about the importance of those one-on-one situations early on in the game and how Corian Mason excels in those very situations. He proves it right there. Stoppage of play here.
Unbelievable. 20 points tonight, or 18 points rather, tonight for number 20. He's been in some foul trouble. His 6th field goal might just be the biggest one to go back up by 4 with 12 seconds to go.
Going back to that play, this is monumental, especially so late in the game, not to get a foul there. Corian Mason, some of his better work.
Spectacular. 12 seconds. Chicago State's got to go, down by 4. And it's going to be Russian, and he'll get the layup with 5 seconds. Oh, look at this!
Oh.
It's Morris for the dagger.
How do you do that? If you're the Cougars, how do you leave Mekhi Morris wide open in the backcourt?
And the time's going to run out, and Abilene Christian's winning streak is up to 4.
If you're the Cougars, how do you let that slip by? Mekhi Morris, one of the bigger scorers, especially on this Wildcat squad. He had 17 against Lamar, yet there he is wide open in the backcourt.
And then ACU's able to close it out with back-to-back buckets to end it, to win it 77-73. And Corian Mason's our player of the game tonight. For him, what did you think of his performance tonight?
Corian Mason excelled from every aspect of his game, offensively and defensively. Corian Mason running down, obviously, he basically sealed the game there. If it wasn't for that defensive blunder by the Cougars, sealing the game on that great Euro step down low and those one-on-one situations, he was nothing less than elite.
77-73, what a huge win for these Wildcats. It's their 4th consecutive victory, and Chicago State came up just short once again.
Just short once again, and yet another stress-inducing game if you're a Wildcat fan. Not the kind of games you like to see, but the kind of games you love to see when you win them.
Corian Mason is our player of the game. As he's walking over, he's going to put a headset on, and he's going to join us here as we wrap it up from Abilene. 18 points for Corian Mason, and more importantly, his team got the win tonight, 77-73. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Hey, let's go through that last possession there. They go on this big run. It's a 2-point game. You need to have a bucket. You're able to go there and score. Take me through that there.
Coach C just drew up a play, told me get the ball at the top of the key, ace at the ball screen, just go make a play. If they help, he know I'm going to make the extra. If not, go score it.
Well, when they make that run there late in the game to make it a 2-point game, what was going through your mind? Hey, we got to be able to close this thing out.
You know, we've been in situations like this in the past, and I just know, and the team knows that we just got to close it out. But we got to do a better job of that. So we're just going to get back to it tomorrow, practice, and look at our mistakes.
Hey, how does 4 straight wins feel for you guys there? I mean, you were able to kind of get that win against California Baptist, 2 big road wins last week, and to come back home and get a win. How's that feel for your team?
It just feels good to get back in our groove, you know, and get back to us. So we just got to keep going from here.
How important will be Saturday's game then as well?
It's just as important as every other game.
Well, congratulations on the win here tonight, Corian.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Corian Mason as ACU wins at 77-73 tonight. Mason with 18 points for the Wildcats in the victory. That'll do it for us tonight here in Abilene as we say the final score of ACU 77 and Chicago State 73. It's been a presentation of the Western Athletic Conference on ESPN. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. Until next time, Zach Carlisle, Cohen Carpenter, Joseph Champa, the whole crew, led by Hutton Harrison, Will King saying so long. Take care. Good night.